Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Whoops. Everything in bloom on the 8th, on the 9th again. It's all down to all the problems I had on Sunday, moving the Sunday chat to Monday, and the video I'd planned on loading on Monday, the group 1 of the project Orchids, moving to the next day, and so it goes on. But this basically is the only video left at the moment until next Sunday. That's date dependent. It is nice to have everything in bloom on the 8th. You know, I've been doing this a very long time. But there is now and will be other times when I can't do it, like now. So everything in bloom on the 8th, on the 9th. Now, I know I'm supposed to be doing blooms, but my thingy, Sarracenia, well that ain't, that's not one of these, is it? That's a flower. Or will be. Now it's not now, and then we got growths coming up on this, so this is coming back into growth. So my repot, I presume, was successful, and it's no good use sitting there looking like a bud. It's supposed to be a bloom by now. So starting with the blooms, we have the pretty Masdevallia. I'm just trying to think. No, they are actually markings. I was just wondering whether on the end of my thumb there, whether that was actually some mould or something forming, but I think it's actual patterning. Now this one's funny because the cameras just don't seem to want to focus on it or get the colour right. But there we go, no ID hybrid. So that's that one. And then coming along here, we will have a go at saying it. Hang on, let me concentrate. Ornithorhynchum, I think that was right, or what I'm pretty sure is that. The blooms are just starting to go, just going now. It's got 2 spikes opposite ends of the room. This one was first to open, that's already dropped quite a few blooms, so that's going down. And then this one will follow, but nonetheless the blooms are still looking good. I doubt if I can focus on that in this light, but we will try. No, I don't think that's going to have it. I don't know, maybe. So that's that one. And then the last of the twinkles is the yellow one. Oncidium twinkle yellow. I think that's its actual name. But it's certainly its colour. And these are the blooms that opened last out of the twinkles, and therefore it's the last one to go over. And then all of my twinkles need some work. They need their moss sorting out, because it's those that are on live moss will be fine, but those that aren't need to be. So I've got some work to do there. And then let's have a look at the wrist strappias as I can get at them, I think. So coming along here, we've got this one that quite honestly is absolutely gorgeous, and this is I'll do pop-ups. I'm trying to concentrate on names and films. This one, as far as I'm concerned, is absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful colour, beautiful markings, and I'd say a medium-sized one. A large one, talking of large ones, that mealybug. I have seen a couple. Now I don't normally get mealybugs, I get scale, but I have seen a couple recently. Just a single one, like on a leaf. Anyway, as far as size is concerned, this is my largest Ristrepia bloom. As you can see, it is a considerable size. Now I need to try and get my focus on the bloom, and then the camera should follow it while I hold it. Nah, it's not going to do it. It's just because I've got twiddly bits in the way. Let's see if I can lift it on top of the leaf. Yeah. And then turn the plant round. We'll get there. We will get there. And now the camera decides to go back and track it. But that's my largest Ristrepia bloom by quite a long way. And then one of my small... Now I've got myself stuck. And now whose idea was it to do the Ristrepias? Mad fool. One of my smallest but species, and the plant that I've had the longest, this is a large Ristrepia. This one is Falkenbergii, and I love the markings on this, but it's a small bloom, so it'll be difficult for me to focus on that. Markings are Very, very nice on that. You're looking at sort of deep red stripes on gold. So, so that's the 3 that are in, oh no, I say that's the 3 in bloom, and then as I stand up, there's number 4. And number 4 is another deep red one. Again, another really deep colour. So I'm trying to rest my hand on the shelf so that I can keep the camera stiller. Oh. I'm bent over, that's the problem. I should be stood up. I'm going to hurt me back. Anyway, that's that one as well. So those are the Restrepias. That's 4 in bloom out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out of 7. But I've got 2 that came down from Hannah when she had to go in hospital, and they've yet to bloom. They should do. They should do soon. I mean, that's this one and this one. They're large enough to bloom. They haven't yet, but they should do. So we're waiting for those, basically. Right, let's put my shelf back where it goes. Right, that's that. Then coming over here, nothing that I've got to squeeze into. No, there's nothing there and there. So this one is on its last legs now, and I believe this is I can't remember. Oh, I'll do pop-ups, but I'm pretty sure it was tiger tail on the end, but I don't know what was at the beginning, whether it was an Oncidium or an Oncostelli. But these are major colour changes. They fade after about a week to 10 days, and then they spend the rest of their time until they sort of die back at this colour. But their original colour is a lot more deep than that. A lovely sort of creamy yellow lip and stuff, but it does change. So that's that one. Nothing down below, nope. And then we've got the Zygopetalum Louisendorf. Recently opened up all its blooms. It's only 4, but as zygos go, these are large blooms. Yeah, they're not full. In other words, the petals and sepals are not close together. They do leave big gaps, but the coloration and markings on that lip, absolutely gorgeous. So, yeah, one of my favourite blooms in this place. You didn't make it, did you? That's my Pabstia, my challenge plant. Soon. It would seem, I've always complained that it only has 2 buds, and perhaps it should have more. Looking at the shape, I think that spike is designed to have 2 buds. But it's not a strong plant. But this growth that it's put up, this most recent one, is quite a good growth, and we've got 2 buds to come, but not blooms. And then we've got this, no ID. This was the one that I came back from the Bournemouth Orchid Society show with, on the grounds you have to buy something, don't you? And I just like the colours on this. As this type of plant goes, you know, sort of odontoglossum based into generic, these blooms are quite small, but then there are a lot of them, so I'm quite happy with that. And then up the back then we've got our large dendrobium with the pristine white blooms with the golden throat. These will be with us a very long time. There's 3 blooms, but the other one's turned its back on us. I've only got 2 that are facing the front at the moment. Well, I either have these 2 facing the front or the one, and then the other 2 will be, they're just facing in opposite directions basically. Not quite sure how that happened, because I always, when I've got a plant that's coming into bud, I always make sure after I've watered it, I put it back exactly where it was, so the light, the aspect of the light never changes. So if it's going to point its blooms towards the brightest source of light, then they'll all face in the same direction. But I've got a feeling the fact that those buds formed here, the light is too even here to have a direction. So the buds just stick out from the cane in whatever direction they fancy. And I think that's just how it's going to work here. So I might not be able to drive plants in towards the light. Right, and then over here, the display area. We've got this no ID into generic that's fading fast, but it had a little spike up the back over here. So that single bloom over there hasn't been opened long, so that's got the best colour at the moment. But it only had one bloom on that spike. But that's not going to be with us too much longer. That one will, because it hasn't long been opened, but these two spikes here are fading fast, but still looking good. Good sized blooms. No ID, don't even know what's in it. It's just basically it was labelled Cambria. And it is an Oncidium type intergeneric, that's all I can say. And then we've got our Phalaenopsis type Dendrobium. It had a tag on it, and I got this one from Jeff. Well, it actually did the full circle. I helped load it into Marius's car, he took it away, and it ended up coming back to me. So, they're attractive blooms, they're not very large, and this wasn't a particularly, big spike for the size of the plant, but they're still nice blooms, and it's a very healthy plant. As Phalaenopsis type orchids go in my place, it's the only one I've got that looks like a good plant. All my others are not too good at all. I just don't seem to grow them very well. I think it's just a bit too cold in the winter, so they don't do so well. And then we've got our Laelia anceps that's on its way out. The first bloom that opened is starting to get the faded edges. This one will be about 4 days behind it. We've got to have another close look at that lip, if I can get this thing to sharpen up. Colours on that. And it's not just the colours, it's the markings. Gorgeous blooms. One of the first blooms that stopped me dead at a show, I just stood there, mind you, it was a magnificent plant, it probably had a couple of dozen blooms on. And I just stood and looked at it and thought to myself, this was in the early days, I thought to myself, one day I'd like to have one of them. There's the little wren. I doubt if I can zoom in because he'll probably see me and fly away. I've lost sight. Oh, he's right next to the post. And where's the camera pointing? Oh, he's gone up in the bushes now. Never mind. But that is, according to the RSPB, Royal Society for Protection of Birds, which is like our authority in the UK, that is our smallest bird. But I don't count it as the smallest bird because I like to be different. Their way of measuring a bird for size purposes is from the tip of the beak, over the head, down the back to the tip of the tail. The wren has virtually got no tail. It's got a tiny little stubby thing. Whereas you take something like a goldcrest or a firecrest, the bird is smaller, I believe, but because it's got a longer tail, it don't count. Quite honestly, the birds don't give a monkeys. Right, and then we've got this Oncidium. This is an Oncidium, this is Tahitian Dancer. And although I've never looked up the ingredients for that cross, I suspect Sotoanum's in there, given the shape and the colour. I could be wrong. But yeah, Tahitian Dancer, that's lost one spike, so it's got one spike left, and then that will be coming back into growth again. This one behaves exactly like Oncidium should. It's got no exceptions, it just does what it says on the tin. And then last but not least is this Zygo hybrid, and this plant is not doing too good, and I think I'm going to have to spray it with a fungicide because, I mean, these are old leaves on old pseudobulbs, but for 3 or 4 to go very quickly in succession, I think I might need a spray on that one. This plant has never been that good, despite the latest growth being reasonable and putting up 2 spikes with a good number of blooms. But the plant's not doing too well. Now, in theory, I should sacrifice those spikes and concentrate on that plant plumping up its bulbs and growing on that latest new growth and starting perhaps a new one. But I can't cut those off. I just can't. But yeah, as far as going to the Wessex Orchid Society show is concerned, my This Zygo's not going to go. I don't want that going out off in the car, long journey, getting mucked about, poked and prodded. The plant is not strong enough, so this one's staying home. The ones that will probably go will be this one, because that's a nice strong healthy plant, and this one can go, providing it hangs in there, because a few blooms actually have faded, but I don't know whether they faded or whether they'd been knocked, because you don't normally get a bloom fall off halfway up a stem when one's up here and one's up here and down here are actually okay. But that one, I reckon it might have got knocked. But anyway, possibly with a little trim. It's Tuesday today, it's got to last till Saturday. If it's still got quite a few blooms on it by Saturday, it can go. But it can't go in the show. It can only go in the display area, because I haven't had it long enough. And I suppose I could take the dendrobium. I'd have to play with the stems. I'd have to bring the stems in closer together so that all three blooms were oh no, I'm not going to do it. At the end of the day, with that really long cane that goes right up to the roof, something's going to get damaged if I try and take that in. So plants to go to the show will either be, well, will be this one definitely, and this one probably, if there's still enough blooms on it looking good. And you would have been a showstopper if you've got your act together, bloomed a bit earlier. That's going to end up being in bloom when I'll have nowhere to take it. We've got no Bournemouth Orchid Society meeting in March because we've got the coach trip instead. Let me think. Oh, I don't know. No, I'm not doing that. And then the Wessex next meeting would be the second Saturday in April. Well, it might have gone over by then, but it could be good for that, so we may take it into that one. We'll see. Anyway, there we go. Everything in bloom on the 8th. I've still got an amount in bloom, and there are things in bud still to come, so I'm not doing too bad. Plus, if you think about it, it's going to be dendrobium time soon, and I'm just going to get one after the other, after the other, after the other opening up, and hopefully quite a few together, because I think I've got about a dozen dendrobiums with buds on to come, and some that haven't got buds on but will have soon. You know, they're predictable. So there we go then, everything in bloom on the 8th, and this is a good little display of colour at the moment, apart from that funny dendrobium thing at the top that sort of spoils the look, because this is basically your pinks and your purples, and even though these are, well, I don't know what colour you'd call that, burgundy, it still blends in nicely. It's just that dendrobium's a bit off. Right, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.